I want to describe a meeting we had earlier today at 5 p.m. with the auditors. After this meeting, I barely got down dinner, for which I had lost appetite, and Nikki and I looked at each other afterwards and realized this was quite serious. For a number of years now, we have accumulated a series of deficits, effectively, from projects that were overspent, from pool renovation, from work on the library, whatever. Many little buckets, some not so little, that all added up to approximately $880,000, $850,000. Now, over the years, our auditors did not require us to pay those down. And they were met effectively by shifting money around, trust funds we had and other buckets of money we had. And this was all fine and good. So, until today, and I will confess quite honestly, I didn't pay much attention to that.
That's what they stopped us from doing. That's what we were actually doing before. We were borrowing when we already had a lot of debt. And now we can't do that anymore.
And now we can't even do it.
Yeah, we can't.
We can't do it.
It would be
No one would lend us money.
It would be irresponsible.
Yeah, that's what we were actually doing before.
It would be irresponsible.
That's what we were actually doing before.
It would be irresponsible. This was all fine and good. Until today, the Government Accounting Standard Board changed its auditing requirements last year. And again, I'm laying out what the auditors are. It's always good to hide behind somebody's skirts and somebody like this. First of all, it affects our bond rating. We had a decrease in our bond rating this year. The reason it dropped, and the explicit reason provided by Moody's, was that our general fund wasn't large enough, that it should be closer to $900,000. It is now zero. Now, those are dire straits. It certainly crystallized my understanding of these issues in a way that, having served up here for 7 years, close to 9 years, I hadn't had yet. I'm embarrassed to say on one or two of these items which are actually core now to how we look at this budget.
How does it impact our desire to borrow more money? You had mentioned that there's some things that, there's some heavy equipment and SUVs that the village is...
Greatly. We've got to find some money. Now, we're going to sit here, frankly, as far as I'm concerned, I'm done with the meeting. And to some degree, I could pitch this into your laps and say, over the course of the next few weeks, we've got to find some money. Please.
And this is going to sound disrespectful, and I apologize if it does, but every department head is here prepared to answer questions on this budget. So now really there's no point in any of us being here because we're just getting this news.
And so did we. The magnitude and implications of that news were laid on us today.
At 5 p.m.
Laid on us today.
At 5 p.m.
Laid on us today.
At 5 p.m. The experience we just had with our auditors. Do you want to talk about that? Or...
I can. It required compliance with new auditing regulations, essentially wiping out what was a $300,000 reserve fund. So we're down to zero, which means we've got to find savings. And to some degree, we've managed to insulate ourselves here because it's a well-off community and a number of other factors. But audit rules changed and pulled one rug out from under us that left us facing, without excuses, realities. And I also want to say that as much as apologize for the sacrifices that village employees have to make. I also want to say that 4.5% to residents is a lot. And I'm sorry we are in a situation where we've got to impose costs on everybody.
There you go.
Indeed.